All right, so just welcome everyone. This is the question and answer session for the Global Health Certificate at UCLA, sponsored by the Center for Global and Immigrant Health. This is just a recording so that students who aren't able to join us live can still see the answers to the questions submitted online. But we're going to get started with questions from students who are able to join us live. So I will just pause there and see if we have any questions.
I do have a question regarding the internship requirement. So I know that I think it was the required hour amount was it 100 hours, or how much, or how many hours to meet that requirement?
Yeah, it's a 400-hour requirement. So that would be analogous to the like for students doing their MPH at UCLA, that's analogous to whatever they do for their summer fieldwork experience. So kind of the original idea was that students would choose something that aligned with global or immigrant health and could submit that as the fieldwork for their global health certificate application. It is also possible to meet that without having it be your MPH fieldwork project, but it's still the 400-hour requirement. So if you want to meet that via like a different internship or something, you would just have to show proof of 400 hours of work over the course of whatever time period during your time as a student at UCLA, a time as a graduate student at UCLA.
Right. And again, the point of the 400 hours is to make it like a full, again, it's supposed to be dovetailing in most cases with your summer internship, although it's totally fine to do it, as a part-time gig while you're in school during the academic year. That is totally fine as well. But the initial thinking behind the 400 hours is about 10 weeks of full-time work. So that dovetails nicely with, a summer internship that can fill most, but not all of your summer break, just to clarify.
Okay, thank you. And a follow-up to that is that for my fieldwork, it doesn't fall underneath the more of the global internship scope for the specific certificate. And so would it be possible to have two different internships to make up for that 400-hour mark if I'm unable to reach that for one single internship?
Yeah, so as long as they both fulfill the requirements on their own, it would be okay to do two shorter internships and like mix and match however you need to get to that 400 hours. But both of the internships would need to fulfill the requirements on their own.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and just to expand upon what Cindy was saying, check with us. We do have online interest forms listed on the website, and you can always double check your internship, make sure that it does or does not meet the requirements as listed in our Global Health Certificate requirements checklist. So basically the point of the form is to help guide you. And I will say double check on there because we've really loosened and expanded the acceptable types of internships and fieldwork experiences in the past 2 years, knowing that it was very difficult for people to do traditional internships during the pandemic. And knowing that especially work abroad was really kind of off limits for the most part. So we have really loosened those requirements, expanded what we're accepting for that. So if you've been a student over the course of the pandemic and your summer in between your 2 years of coursework fell in the last 2 years, definitely check in with us because you might actually be able to count more of your fieldwork towards this global health certificate requirement than you expected at first. We are definitely being more lenient during the pandemic. And a lot of the requirements now are about global health skills and working with diverse populations, even if it's more locally based. So definitely double check with us and be sure to look at the forms we have online to make sure you're not doing more work than you need to be doing.
All right, so just everyone who joined us after we got started, we're kind of just doing open format right now. So if anyone has a question, please jump in. We have some ready to go from students who submitted online questions, but we're going to do everyone's live questions first. Right. So I guess hearing none, just jump in if that's wrong, but hearing none, I will pull up our questions from the online form. All right, so someone just submitted a question asking for tips for finding summer internships, which is a great question. I'm actually going to share my screen. So yeah, I'm going to share my screen just to show our internships page because we've been trying to build this out. So this is just the internships page. So we've been trying to build this out with links to organizations that we know UCLA grad students have previously worked with and had good experiences. So these are, it's just a list of organizations that might be a good place to start depending on what you're interested in. And then I would say also, we have a video posted on our YouTube page from 2020 where we hosted a session with the Bixby Center talking about various summer international internships. So that can be a good place to start if you're specifically interested in working with internationally based organizations. And then also the USAID has this great program basically providing professional development resources for students interested in global health. And on their website here, Future Global Health Leaders, they have kind of like notices about future information sessions they're hosting. They have a toolkit that can be really useful. And they've hosted a series of webinars about working in global health, finding internships in global health, finding jobs in global health. So they're a really good resource as well. And then my last two pieces of advice, and then I'll turn it over to you, Adva, are really just to talk to faculty that you're interested in the work they're doing. If you haven't taken a class with them necessarily, most of their bio pages on the Fielding website have a good overview of like their past publications or their general areas of expertise and research focuses. And so usually faculty is more than happy to talk with you, and they may know of open internships. They may themselves have some research funding that they need students to help them use by doing research. So I would say getting in touch with faculty is a really good way to get ideas about internships. And then my last piece of advice is just cold emailing people at organizations that you're interested in working with. They don't always have explicit internships like listed on their website or whatever. But when I was looking for my internship during my MPH, had reasonably good success with just reaching out to people by sending an email and saying, hey, I'm looking for an internship doing XYZ, or these are my interests and I'm interested in your organization. You know, do you know of anything or another organization I can reach out to? And that worked reasonably well for me and my my cohort mates. So that's my advice. Adva, do you have anything to add?
I think you covered the main points that I would have as well. The other thing I would say is also talk to your TAs and upperclassmen, you know, fellow students of yours who may be a year further advanced than you. Or if you're a master's student, ask some of your older PhD graduate student friends what they've been doing with their summers, especially if they're in a similar lab as you or pursuing similar types of research and work experiences as you are. they might be a wealth of information as well. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was, really utilize the resources of the experiences that get you through your global health certificate to help you find internships and other field experiences. So if you're fulfilling the lecture requirement and listening to seminars on global health and immigrant health, feel free to reach out to the speakers after they've given their presentation and say, hey, what you were talking about really spoke to me. I am very curious about this type of work, this type of research, the organization you're affiliated with, whatever it be. And I'm looking for, experiential outlets. Can you advise me, connect me with someone? Do you have any insights, thoughts, openings? So I think reaching out to people who are in this field and who you're already going to their talks will say a lot and will really help guide you in your search. So yeah, be open to any and all opportunities. Speak with faculty who are teaching the elective courses you're taking to count for your global health coursework, right? They're likely very tied into these networks, even if they themselves don't have internships available or research positions in their labs this summer. They likely have colleagues who do. So those can be great networking opportunities for you. And really don't be nervous about emailing and asking for opportunities or connections. This is something we all have to do. I know it feels kind of icky at first, especially when you're still in your studies and you're like, I don't have enough experience yet, but this is a great life building skill just to reach out, seek opportunities, and do informational interviews. Even if they don't lead to specific opportunities, you'll just gain a lot of knowledge about the field you're interested in, the populations you're interested in working with, and what really exists out there.
All right, so I'll just, have any questions popped up in the audience? Just raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll keep going with our list. Okay, great. So let's see. Our next question, Adva, I'll pass this one off to you, Adva, to start. So the question is, do we have to write 2 essays for the Global Health Certificate? One of them being the paper we wrote for our fieldwork 400 course, and the other is a 5-page reflection paper.
Yeah, great question. I think we get a lot of questions on this exact section of the requirements every year. And the answer is yes. So there are 2 separate papers that you will have to write for the Global Health Certificate. One, you have to write for your coursework anyway. It's really simple. It's already aligning with your coursework. So it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And one is just for the certificate, which is more a reflection on lessons learned, professional development, what sort of insights you had into your career, where it's helping you shift and shape where you want to take your career in the future. It's more reflective, it's more personal, and that will be specifically for the Global Health Certificate. And I will just point out that you can find all of the information on all of the requirements you need on the CGIH website. If you go on the tab that says Global Health Certificate, there's a drop-down menu and it says requirements, and you can always go there and remind yourself, keep the checklist of like, have I done everything I need to do? And we also have information sessions from the fall, I think both this year and last year, posted on our YouTube page. So you can always go back and look there if you're ever in need of more information about specific requirements and what is being requested for each of those check marks on the to-do list.
And then I'll just add, most of the students who do the certificate are MPH students, so the 400 paper applies to them. Students who are not MPH students, we know that they don't have the same 400 report requirement. So those students, instead, we ask them to submit either a 5-page analytical paper. So we want it to be more like research based, basically, rather than reflective, like the professional reflection essay. So if they don't already have like a manuscript written as part of their internship, we ask them to write this 5-page analytical paper. So I'll just say, if that applies to you, reach out to us at our email address, and we will work with you to give you additional guidance on that. But if you have written some kind of like manuscript and you are a non-MPH student, that is probably sufficient. So again, just reach out to us to double check, but that's what we take instead of the 400 paper if you're a non-MPH student.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying, Cindy. And definitely do reach out to us if that describes you, a non-MPH student, because we can work with you, even if it's not a peer-reviewed published manuscript. Let's say it was an annual report you helped your organization write. If you played a large role in the writing of that report, that can likely count as well, things like that. So we'll work with you. We want to make this a streamlined process, not just excess requirements for the sake of extra work. So please do reach out to us if you're not enrolled in those 400 courses and are trying to meet that first essay requirement.
I had a question on that I'm looking at the application form right now, and in the checklist, it just has complete a departmental project, i.e. master's thesis or CHS 211A course final paper on a global health topic. Is that for MPH students, the 400 report?
Yeah, so we should probably update the application form. We probably haven't updated it since before COVID.
Yeah, because that sounds like submit a final paper for a different course, which I had not heard of as part of the requirements.
So, but yes, that would, the 400 paper would meet that requirement. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, so that's again, just like at the bottom where it says attach a copy of the departmental project on a global health topic, that would just be the 400 report as well.
Yep, that would be a copy of your 400 report. Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks for, we'll update.
For pointing that out
this week.
I think there used to be an additional requirement in the 200 courses where they pulled on your field experience. So that needs to be updated. Thank you for pointing that out.
I also had just one other question on this form. Is it says, it has like the first checkpoint is completed one of the 3 core courses, which weren't available to me. So I did 4 electives instead. So should I just still check that box?
Oh, go ahead, Adva, if you were about to.
I was just going to say, did you get the 4th course? Did you get it approved by us as an alternative to one of the core courses that you weren't able to take?
It was one of the approved courses on the website already, so I didn't like reapprove it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can attach, just list out what they are and leave us a note on the form when you submit it, and we'll contact you if we have any questions about it.
Yeah, and that actually,
thank you.
The last question we had someone submit online is exactly in line with that. So I'll just go ahead and answer that question right now. So the last question we had pre-submitted was, even though CHS is 200 is offered in the spring, but if we were unable to enroll due to a scheduling conflict, can the 16 units of coursework be composed of 16 units of other courses that count for the GHC? And that's yes for this year. So for the 2021 to 2022 academic year, we're accepting any 16 units of global health courses to count towards the certificate. We'll just caveat that to say, if you're a student graduating next academic year, we do still expect that you take either CHS 200 or EPI 420, because they're both being offered this spring, and I believe they're both supposed to be offered next year as well. So, but just for this year, since we know like CHS 200 didn't get scheduled until last minute, I think, and there was some scheduling confusion, we waived that requirement for this year. So any 16 units of approved global health courses will meet the requirements for the global health certificate this year. And then I'll just say, we'll update our website and send an email out to via the listserv if that changes for next year, because we know scheduling can be a little iffy, but that's, as of right now, we expect students to take one of the core courses if they're trying to get the certificate next year.
I'm sorry, just one more question. At the bottom of this, the application, it also says attached 2 copies of the Global Health Certificate tracking sheet. And I don't see that form, so I'm wondering what that means.
Yeah, we'll, that was an old requirement. Yeah, I don't think this has been updated in a while. So the tracking sheet, it is no longer required. It's a tool on the forms page to help you plan your 2 years to meet the requirements. And we used to ask students to submit that to us, but you don't need to do that anymore. So no need, and we'll update the application form this week and repost it.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. I don't think we noticed that. What you need to be working on these days is to make sure you're submitting a declaration of intent form so that we know sort of as you're exploring internship options and opportunities, what you are planning to do and what you're planning to study and fulfill your coursework for the Global Health Certificate with. And then also to submit your internship approval form once you identify a fieldwork opportunity so that we can confirm that it will count for your CGIH requirement. And so there's no surprises. You don't have to be concerned about, well, I did this whole 400-hour internship and now I don't even know if it's going to count for the Global Health Certificate. This way we can kind of give you peace of mind and approve it ahead of time so you know going in that it will count for that. So those are the most important forms pre-applying for the certificate at the end of your tenure at UCLA.
And I would just say, like, these 2 forms are relatively new, so it's not a huge deal if you're graduating this spring and you haven't submitted them. They're more just tools for us to make sure that we're helping you be as informed as we can help you be. So the declaration of intent form, is more important at this point, really, if you are graduating next year. We just want to make sure that we have your email address, basically. So we can send you emails with any updates. And then the internship approval form, like Adva mentioned earlier, is just so we can make sure you're not doing extra work, basically, with your internship. We just, we're trying to be flexible. So we want to just give you peace of mind that you know your internship is going to count before you do your whole internship.
Exactly. Wonderful. Are there any other questions from people who are online right now that we can help you with? No? Okay, great. Well, we will work to update the small inconsistencies with the core course requirements on all of our forms. Please use the website as a great resource and tool for you to find all of the information you need about the Global Health Certificate, all the checklists, all the forms you need to fill out. And then please also check out our YouTube site so you can see recordings from other really helpful seminars that can give you ideas about fieldwork and summer internship opportunities. I think those will be really helpful to you as you begin your search this spring. And we hope this was informative and helpful.